I think I have the perfect Captain 7 of 9 Star Trek Warp Command. When Star Trek Voyager ended in 2001, it left behind a question that's been quietly whispered in fan circles for decades. Could 7 of 9 ever sit in the captain's chair? Once a Borg drone, she evolved into one of Voyager's most complex crew members. And in Star Trek Picard, she came even closer to the role, eventually commanding La Sirena and temporarily wearing a Starfleet badge again. By the end of Picard Season 3, Starfleet made it official. 7 of 9 is a captain. But imagining her future at the helm, beyond what we've already seen, reveals just how bold, different, and potentially game-changing her command style could be. I think I've pieced together the perfect warp command for Captain 7 of 9, blending her Borg past, Starfleet ideals, and personal journey into something uniquely her own. It's not Kirk, it's not Picard, and it's not Janeway. It's distinctly 7, and that's exactly what Star Trek needs. The captain who sees everything. One of 7's most defining traits is her hyper-efficiency. While on Voyager, she was notorious for cutting through red tape, ignoring pleasantries, and immediately getting to the heart of a problem. As captain, that pragmatism could become a core strength. Imagine a crisis on the bridge of the USS Enterprise G, where Picard would call a meeting in the ready room and Sisko might demand immediate action from his senior officers. 7 would already be 3 steps ahead. Her Borg-enhanced analytical skills mean she can process probabilities and solutions faster than almost any other captain in Federation history. This doesn't mean she becomes a cold calculator. Her evolution in Picard proves she's learned how to balance logic with empathy. But her decision-making is lightning fast, born of both Starfleet training and Borg precision. In Warp Command terms, this means 7 could become the most decisive captain we've ever seen, someone who doesn't hesitate, who thrives in the moment of pressure. A captain forged by Janeway. Every captain has a mentor who shaped them. For 7, that's indisputably Catherine Janeway. Janeway didn't just bring her onto Voyager. She challenged 7 to rediscover her humanity. Janeway's mix of sternness, compassion, and sheer stubborn willpower carved the foundation of 7's leadership style. 7 isn't Janeway 2.0 though. If anything, she's the anti-Janeway in some ways. Where Janeway would sometimes gamble on high-risk moves for the sake of principle, 7 would likely approach those same scenarios with more calculation. Where Janeway was diplomatic but fiercely protective of her crew, 7 is blunt but equally loyal. The perfect warp command for 7 isn't about replicating her mentor but refining Janeway's lessons into something new. Think of it as Janeway's moral compass, fused with Borg efficiency, wrapped in 7's own evolving sense of identity. 7's crew, family, not collective. The Borg taught 7 the value of unity, but it came at the cost of individuality. On Voyager, she had to learn what it meant to be separate, awkward dinners with the Doctor, stilted conversations with Harry Kim, tense debates with B'Elanna Torres. Each interaction shaped her. As captain, she won't run her ship like a hive mind. Quite the opposite, she'll value individuality more than most captains. Her crew won't just be officers under her command, they'll be distinct voices, each perspective vital. In some ways, this makes her an ideal leader for a post-Picard-era Starfleet. Where other captains might unconsciously favor hierarchy, 7's perfect warp command thrives on listening. If an ensign in engineering sees something wrong with the warp core, 7 will hear them out as quickly as she would her first officer. She knows what it feels like to be dismissed, mistrusted, or treated as less than. Her bridge will never operate that way. Diplomacy without pretending. Let's be honest, 7 will never be a smooth-talking diplomat like Picard. And that's a good thing. Her directness, often bordering on blunt, is her version of diplomacy. Klingons would respect her honesty. Vulcans would appreciate her precision. Even Romulans, who thrive on manipulation, might find her refreshing because she's nearly impossible to deceive. In her perfect warp command, 7 redefines Starfleet diplomacy. She doesn't waste time with endless niceties or word games. Instead, she establishes credibility through transparency and results. She says what she means and means what she says, and alien cultures know exactly where they stand with her. That doesn't mean she won't have allies who excel in traditional diplomacy. Her first officer, perhaps Raffi Musiker, could smooth edges where needed. But Seven's unflinching honesty becomes a strength, not a flaw, setting a new standard for what Federation leadership looks like. The captain who never forgets the outsiders. Seven is not a captain who grew up in the comfort of the Federation. She knows what it's like to be an outsider, forced into an identity you didn't choose. That perspective makes her more empathetic to the alien, the marginalized, and the misunderstood. This could make her perfect for missions on the frontier, the kind where Starfleet meets civilizations scarred by conflict, poverty, or mistrust of the Federation. Unlike other captains who arrive wearing the badge of a massive interstellar power, Seven understands suspicion. She understands resentment. She lived it every time someone looked at her implants and saw Borg instead of officer. Her perfect warp command means she doesn't just represent Starfleet. She represents the idea that redemption, individuality, and belonging are possible even after assimilation. In her, alien species may see not a uniform, but a chance for trust. A captain with a past she can't escape. Every great captain carries a flaw. Kirk was reckless. Picard wrestled with his own trauma after assimilation. Sisko carried a grudge against the Borg and wrestled with his role as the emissary. Seven's flaw is her own past as a drone. No matter how many years she spends in command, she'll never fully escape that shadow. There will always be suspicion, always whispers of whether the Borg could turn her back on. That weight could either crush her or fuel her determination. Her warp command works precisely because she doesn't ignore this flaw. She leans into it. She uses her past as a tool, reminding herself and her crew that perfection isn't the goal. Growth is. Her leadership style is one of constant self-reflection, reminding her crew that even in Starfleet, no one is beyond redemption or reinvention. Where Seven takes Star Trek next. Seven's promotion at the end of Picard Season 3 was more than fan service. It was a promise that Star Trek's next generation of captains would look different, feel different, and embody new ideals. Her perfect warp command isn't about repeating Kirk's swagger, Picard's diplomacy, or Janeway's determination. It's about creating a new archetype, the captain who listens, who sees the value in outsiders, who acts decisively, and who never pretends to be anything other than what she is. This could make for some of the most compelling Star Trek storytelling in years. Imagine a series where Captain Seven leads the Enterprise G into the unknown, blending Borg precision with Federation ideals, rewriting what it means to be a Starfleet captain. Each warp jump wouldn't just be about exploring space, it would be about exploring what humanity becomes when it accepts its flaws, its differences, and its potential. The legacy of Captain Seven. Ultimately, 7 of 9's perfect warp command isn't just a tactical doctrine. It's a philosophy. Decisiveness when time is short. Honesty when words matter. Empathy for those who've been outsiders. Loyalty to individuality over uniformity. Strength in embracing, not hiding, her past. This is the warp command that could carry Starfleet into